moved through a few items this morning because we had a little gap in time. So we have one item from Public Works, and then we can just revisit assignments and see if there are any announcements that have come up since this morning, but otherwise.
Chair, sorry.
Yes.
Metro is having problems. Can we take a quick recess?
We sure can. Will you let me know, or am I looking for a high sign from Neil or Tim up in the booth to know we're ready to go?
I will text you.
Okay, thank you. We'll recess.
So Steve, I'm in the Looking Glass has a 64 team draw, and each 64.
This afternoon's meeting. Welcome back to the Lane County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, March 19, 2024. We completed our morning business and then some, so we have just one regular agenda item for this afternoon, and then we will take another minute to see if any announcements have come up since this morning's session and a review of assignments before adjourning for the day. And excuse me while I bring up some notes for this session. There we go. Oh, wrong one. I will take yours if I could. Thank you. So the first item and only item of regular business on our agenda for the afternoon is an on-the-record hearing to review the hearings officials' decisions denying forest template dwelling proposals in impacted forest lands, or F2 zoning. The Lane County Planning Commission planning action file numbers are 509 PA23 05321, 509 PA23 -05322, and 509 PA23-05323. Unfortunately, on January 30, 2024, when the board adopted order number 24-01-30-04, setting today's date for this hearing, the board did not yet at that time know that Commissioner Senega would be unavailable and in Washington, D.C. representing county's interests. Staff have provided options for how to proceed considering these special circumstances. And so I will welcome and turn it over for a moment to our Office of Legal Counsel Representative Rebecca Dorman. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chair Trieger. Yes, as you stated, on January 30th, 2024, when the board and staff set the time and date for this on-the-record hearing, we did so with the intention of allowing full board participation. Today, we do not have the full board available because of Commissioner Senega's board-nominated and board-supported county business in D.C. This is a compelling reason for the board to consider postponing the on-the-record hearing to a future date and time certain. Full board participation in this and any decision-making process from the beginning until a decision is rendered is in the best interest of the county. And if we had known when we set the date for this hearing, we would have avoided today's date. So with that in mind, staff present the following options to the board. Number one, postpone the on-the-record hearing to a date and time certain by motion, or continue with the on-the-record hearing today.
So at this time, I would invite discussion or questions or a motion from commissioners on this topic. Seeing none.
Question, if I may.
Commissioner Farr.
And has Commissioner Senega weighed in on this? Does Commissioner Senega have a preference?
Yeah, Vice Chair and I talked about this, and then I've been communicating with him, and it is, and perhaps County Council can explain, one of the potential challenges to us hearing this, and then should it carry over for any further action that he then joins us for, he would have to state on the record that he had read the totality of the record, including all of the materials related to these items since the beginning of the items. And for full transparency and clarity that all commissioners have been present for all on the record comments and materials presented, it is much cleaner and simpler for him to actually be present for that than to have to do that via watching tapes and reviewing materials later. Is that
Thank you for that
accurate?
information.
Yes, Chair, that's
Thank you.
Commissioner Buck?
I would suggest, in light of that information, that we postpone to a date and time certain that you suggest.
Thank you. So we do have, County Council did prepare a motion for us, which Vice Chair has in front of him if he is ready and willing to bring that forward.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Finding that the special circumstances in this case are a compelling reason to postpone the public hearing, and it's in the best interest of the county to have full board participation in all decisions, I move to postpone the on-the-record hearing to April 16th, 2024 in Harris Hall with a 1:30 p.m. time certain.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Chair Lovell and seconded by Commissioner Buck to postpone this hearing, on the record hearing, to April 16, 2024, here in Harris Hall with a 1:30 p.m. time certain. Is there any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify with an aye. Aye. The motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Senega. Sorry.
I was thinking about it.
Presumptive of me. Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Senega absent excused. And thank you, County Council, for working through that with us. And just to be clear and on the record, great question to ask of Commissioner Senega. We were careful not to do it with any quorum violations. This issue came up, what I meant when I said Vice Chair and I discussed, it was in an agenda setting, it came up, this could be an issue, and then I've been communicating with Commissioner Senega as Chair of the Board, just for clarity. So we are, we don't generally take questions from the audience. This is
I'm sorry, it's not substantive.
the board's,
The board's procedure on this matter.
I think that I can work with Mr. Close if the board would like to.
thank you, Council, appreciate that. So our next, with that, we are on to Commissioner business. As I said, we had an opportunity to do that this morning, but I want to double check with my colleagues to see if there's any further announcements or assignment requests that may have come up over the lunch.
Chair, I have about a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation on a child if
And something that occurred to me, I don't think this needs to be an assignment, but just asking for a reminder from the administrator. We talked this morning when we got a presentation on the audit of the public safety levy. Several of us talked about the public safety task force that's been formed. And I remember you said that you would probably bring a report back on an update on how the activities of that task force was going. I don't know that that needs to be an official assignment, but if you could remind what the rough timeline of that looks like for us, if you have
And I could
that.
actually do that today, and then I could also, I would say in April, I definitely, I'll just share with you today that we have selected a consultant. We did a request for qualifications for a consultant to facilitate the process. We selected a consultant that's based here in the Pacific Northwest and has done similar type of work with other law enforcement, public safety agencies in Oregon and Washington. And we have tentatively, we have dates held for, I know one of the dates is April 3rd for the kickoff of the first task force meeting. So by April 2nd, or more likely by April, well, we don't have a board meeting the 9th, the 16th. April 16th, I should be able to give you an update on, we've had a meeting, here's, remind you who all the members are and kind of what the timeline and process will look like, so. within the next month, I would say. I'm happy to give you an update.
Terrific, thank you for that. Anything else from the board today? Then I will look back to our county administrator to review any assignments that came up this morning.
Just Commissioner Buck's request and the board approval to send a letter, I believe signed by the chair. You want to do it as quickly as possible, a letter to the new tribal chief for the Kuzla, Umpqua, and Sayusla tribes.
Great, thank you. No other business, no need for exec session this afternoon. We do have one scheduled tomorrow morning. So that concludes our business for the regular meeting of the board today. I will read us into executive session. After I read us in, at the sound of my gavel, the regular meeting will be adjourned, and we will be in the BCC conference room in person, but with a hybrid option for remote participation for an executive session tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I will also note on our published agenda, it is not a board meeting, but we did notice that we will have a visit from the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, who will be meeting across the organization, but here in Harris Hall at 3 p.m. Friday for a public meeting with members of the legal community, and commissioners have been invited, so we noticed it should a quorum be present. And with that, I will read us into executive session. The Board of County Commissioners will meet in executive session to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. This executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602F, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purposes listed. Representative of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are precluded from attending. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. Members of the news media are not allowed to tape, video record, or otherwise record an executive session. Verbatim notes are prohibited. No decision will be made in executive session. We reserve the right to come back out into public session should the need arise.
So you all want to go play doubles pickleball?